This conference will now be recorded.
I welcome you all for the today's session that is on post COVID-19 impact on IT sector. So I think we are waiting for the participants to come up. I request all the participants to keep yourself in mute. If you want to ask any questions, so there is a chat box. You can send your questions there. So and don't interrupt the speaker in between. Okay. So we'll start the session in few minutes. Thank you.
Very good evening, people. I hope I am audible to everybody. Um, I welcome you all for the session on the impact of COVID-19 on the economy. Especially, we would be speaking about the future of information technology. Now, as earlier instructed, please keep yourself on mute. Do not unmute for anything. If you have any questions, I have just pinged on the chat bot. Any questions during the session, you can ping me those questions here on the chat bot. Right. So having said that, let's talk about this 1 hour session on about the impact of COVID-19. Yeah, a lot of you people would be thinking, guys, please keep yourself on mute. Yeah, a lot of you guys would be thinking about why the session is organized, and what is the importance, what is my key takeaway from this program, from this 1 hour program. So let me tell you, the whole world has seen something which is unprecedented. Nobody actually witnessed a massive pandemic like COVID-19 earlier. So this program would actually give you an insight about how you should be ready for the future and how you should be prepared for the future, and what are the likes of what are the likes of uh, uh, you getting a job in the corporate world. So this is the session is all about that. So please wait for some more time. Let us wait for a few minutes, maybe another 10 minutes or so. I can see people are joining for the session, and anyways, the session was scheduled for 2:30, right? So the time is still 2:24. So let us wait for the people for another 8 more minutes, and then we'll start the session exactly by 2:30.
Unmuted.
Great. Welcome you all once again. So let us start the program. It's 2:30 now. Let us not wait anymore. It's a good time to start. Yeah, very quickly talking about this program, this 1 hour program on the impact of COVID-19 on the economy, especially the future of information technology. How would be the jobs and how would be the industry as a whole of information technology looking like? So this 1 hour session would help you to understand why this pandemic has caused so much of havoc across the globe, and how is it impacting on the economy. In turn, how does it affect us as people, especially we being the hub of MNCs, or the hub of multinational companies. Guys, I would request you once again, please keep yourself on mute. Do not unmute for anything. In case you have any questions, there is a chat box. Please use the chat box. Please do not unmute. Yeah, so talking about the COVID-19 and its impact, I was talking about how does it affect us as Indians and how does it affect us as the engineers, especially when we are graduating in the next few months and we would be out in the world looking for jobs. So how does it affect us? And what should I do as an engineer, or rather a graduated engineer, and how would I be preparing myself to get a job in the future? So this webinar is all about that. Um, right. So talking about, what I've done is I've shared my screen. Please look at my screen. You will have some basic information and the bullet points on which I will be talking about. Talking about the agenda for today, what all we will be covering. We will first I'll introduce myself. You will get to know about me. Then we'll talk about the fourth industrial revolution also. So these topics are not in chronological order. This can I'll cover this topic in different sections in the presentation. This is just to give you a flow, a program flow, wherein you will get to know what topics I'm going to cover in this program. I'll also talk about the fourth industrial revolution and what are the skill sets do I need to see the future of the future. Now, this skill set would also be on your soft skills. It would also be about your technical skills. And you will also look at the challenges and opportunities that this pandemic has given us, and what are those challenges. And of course, these challenges would also come with opportunities. We would also talk about what opportunities these challenges are bringing us. And of course, at the end of the session, I would also be talking about what's in it for you, how you should be prepared to face this pandemic and this global havoc which is created by coronavirus or COVID-19. And also, when we sent the registration link, quite a lot of people have also asked certain questions. So I would try to pick up as many questions as possible, and I'll also try to answer those questions. And yes, if you have any questions in between, you are always feel free to use the chat box and post your questions here. So right, so going on to the next slide, talking about me. My name is Darshan. I am the L&D specialist in the sense learning and development specialist. I am a techno consultant for the HR and learning and development, and I also take care of talent management. So just to give you what is this all about? Learning and development is a department which is responsible for the upskilling and the personality development of all the employees in the organization. So I belong to the department, and in specific in the department, I take care of the technology related to the human resources and the technology related to the learning and development. So basically, if I want to give you a very simple understanding, we are the first team that you see when you get recruited by any organization. You will first be recruited by the HR, then you will be put into the training for the next 6 months or 1 year or 3 months based on the requirement of the organization. And that training team is my team. That's what I represent in the company. And apart from that, what I do is talent management. So when you look at the promotions, when you look at the lateral hires and the lateral moves, I help in developing the frameworks for organization to recognize those talents and graduating those talents to the next level. So this is very quickly about me as a speaker. So today, what I'm going to talk about is the impact of COVID-19 on on the economy and especially on the IT sector. Yeah, so yes, having said that, this pandemic has created a great havoc for multiple industries on not only at an Indian economy level, but on the global economy level as a whole. It has created a lot of havoc. And every day in and day out, you're looking at the news. So many people are losing their lives. They're being the either they're catching this coronavirus and they're being hospitalized, and a lot of things are happening around. Again, affecting on a global scale, it is affecting to the economy of an organization and the economy of a country also. Just to give you a bit of understanding how this has affected, what is the severity of affecting of this of this coronavirus. Just because coronavirus affected us, uh, there was a lockdown which started from almost the month of January in many countries, and it is being extended till now. But on a full scale, if you say post February, that is still March, there has been a lockdown close to like what 3 or 4 months we are under lockdown. So lockdown for entire economic activities, in the sense there is nothing happening in the world which can generate money. The businesses are losing their existence. People are not getting money. People are not getting their salaries. People are not even able to uh, survive for the next few months. That's the severity of this particular pandemic. And this is being compared because of its economic impact. It is being compared to two major events which happened in the history. That was the financial crisis of 2008, and it was a Great Depression of 1930. So no, the world has seen so much of economic impact only in those two events. I mean to say the severity is very vast. Now, if you have any of brothers, brothers of your friends or somebody who graduated their engineering in 2009, just ask them. The severe there was It was so severe that people who were placed were also never gotten an appointment letter. The placements were done TCS, Wipro. A lot of them hired. And I am a 2009 batch passed out. I did my electronics and communication engineering. uh, I was passed out. I was placed in Wipro, but I never got an appointment letter from Wipro. Just one reason, uh, they they just said they don't have any opportunities for now. Such was they ever created in 2008, and this lockdown of 2020 is going to be more severe than that. And in terms of the losses, maybe just a small event like SARS in 2013 caused a $50 billion loss, global $15 billion loss globally. Not just economically, this pandemic has also impacted us geopolitically. Like the biggest event of the world, which is Olympics, got cancelled. And geopolitically speaking, Iran is being outcasted by the entire Middle East because Iran was not able to control its pandemic. Not just that, there is health issues being created. Now we are actually seeing how healthcare system is actually being broken down in multiple countries. Some countries like European countries like Italy, American countries like yeah, especially America, who were believed to be on the pinnacle of the healthcare system, or the best healthcare system in the world. Even they are failing. Not just about the health, about the food supply crisis, the supply chain impact. You might be observing, no Flipkart, no Amazon were delivering any non-essential items. uh, People who manufactured their goods were sitting in the godown, and they were undergoing losses, right? So the supply chain was hugely impacted. And let me tell you, supply chain is one such industry on its own which keeps the economy of a country moving around. If if you see more number of trucks on the road, if you see more number of commercial vehicles on the road, and if you see more number of people moving from one place to the other, it means that economy of a country is growing. If it keeps coming down, or if it stops, the economy would stop. Not just that, the impact on education is pretty severe. You could see if you have your younger brothers or younger sisters or your cousins, they are not going to school. And there are few schools who have started online education. There are many schools who do not have technology to start online schooling. Such a severity is on the education system. Now, having said this, of course, COVID-19 has created so much of impact for us. Along with those challenges, there is a lot of opportunities also. Now, very simply, I told you I want to talk about two things of my previous slide. I told you about supply chain management, supply chain crisis. uh, Supply chain is one such industry. Today, it is so technologically advanced. It is using advanced technologies like big data, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, and blockchain technologies to keep supply chain moving ahead. It is those days are over where supply chain was believed to be just deliveries or just the courier services. Courier services or deliveries is the last leg of supply chain. Today, supply chain as an industry stands on its own. It has the technologies. It is using those amazing technologies like blockchain and all, which is keeping those industry running ahead. Yes, today we say supply chain has almost come to an halt, but again, that brings us a lot of opportunity. Very similarly, COVID-19 has given us a lot of challenges and quite a lot of opportunities. The first one, which I'm talking about, is the governance. Now we have actually seen how the government is able to handle it. Now, probably in the future, there is an opportunity for the governance itself to change. Rather than being national governance, it can be a local governance or regional governance or urban governance also. Now, talking about geopolitically, especially this should be of interest to you because geopolitics enable people to move from one country to the other. Once when people move from one country to the other, they bring business with them. They bring projects with them. And that's how a country like India can hope for more projects to come from different countries. So geopolitics of the future can bring a sustainable globalization. So globalization happened a long back. Today is the time for globalization 4.0, the future of globalization. Probably the entire visa and the passport system may change. The entire rules of people coming from one country to the other country, the customs and duties may change. But again, if you look at it, it is not about the rules are being changed. If you want to deploy them effectively, you need a strong technology backup. Long back, if you look at it, the passports and visas were manual things. You had to write a letter, enclose a letter, post it to a different country. The authorities of that country would approve it or disapprove it. But today, all of this is being handled by technology. Today, visa applications would take merely a week or so compared to years together in earlier days. So technology is creating a revolution in every possible government system also. But in future, after this pandemic is over, there can be a growth to it. You can probably bring in the automation system to it to do the regular task. You never know, but again, this opportunity lies with us. The beneficiaries of that opportunities are we as engineers. And apart from this, under if you want to talk about technology per se, this can be a digital epiphany. When we might have not realized the importance of digitalization earlier, but today it's a time for us to realize the importance of it. There can be a huge technological revolution or realization can happen to us in the future, which can digitize every possible aspect of a human being. Apart from that, the trade and connectivity of the post COVID-19 world can also change. It can also come with a strong technology backup. And if you look at the work that we do today, you might have seen people stopping their work altogether. They're not going out. They're not working anymore. Um, a lot of people have lost their jobs because of it, and there are many other jobs which are secured because the physical presence is not required. They can do their job remotely. Remote working can be the future uh, of the future of jobs per se. I just want to say jobs. People may not really need to go out and work. They can sit at home and do their work. If we want to achieve that, we need a strong technology backup to do it. And again, we have seen how the healthcare system is being broken down for us, but we can actually help a country. We can in fact help the entire economy by building a strong healthcare system. Today, the healthcare system had never seen technology earlier. Today, medical electronics, just as one industry or one research and development department, they are bringing a lot more new technologies to a medical industry. Earlier, uh, these scans and X-rays and reports used to take about a week or 10 days or so, but today those are available in minutes, few seconds. Why this happened? Because of having technology with us, or rather than that, I would say we invested our time in researching the better options for us, and that's how we arrived at it. And of course, the socio-psychological perspective of it. The socio-psychological perspective of COVID-19 could be the mental health issues of an individual. how this has affected a person mentally, not just physically, but how it is affected mentally. So these are the many challenges what COVID-19 has brought us. And along with that, it has also brought a lot of opportunities. I told you what opportunities do we have in our hand. Now, very interestingly and very surprisingly, even though this pandemic was going on, the entire economic activity was on a halt, but there were certain technologies were still trending due to this pandemic. Now, this information I've picked it from World Economic Forum. World Economic Forum published a white paper on the technologies that are trending in COVID-19 era, and this is where I have taken this information from. You guys can actually log in and read through that particular white paper. There are many organizations in India, in China, even in USA, which adapted online deliveries and robotic deliveries. If you would have read my pre-training document, which was sent to you earlier, I told you about a Kerala-based firm, a robotic firm, which invented a robot which can be installed at the entrance of any building or any institution. As soon as that robot detects a human being coming into the institution or the building, automatically it will go in front of the human being and offers the sanitizer and the mask. Now, there are researchers which was going on to build the robots with the uh, thermometer as well, which can get the reading of the temperature of the individual, along with offering the sanitizers and the mask. So much of advancements are happening for us in post COVID-19 world. And if you look at online shopping, back in 2013, I think, yeah, back in 2013, when there was a SARS outbreak, people thought online deliveries are good to have. But today, after COVID-19, you would see online deliveries to be a must-to-have solution. Now, if you need to have an online delivery or a robotic delivery, you need to be very strong on technology. There has to a lot of research has to go into it. We have to build systems and applications that are strong to do to back the entire economy with online shopping and robotic deliveries. So along with that, something which picked up a lot of uh, 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 you know popularity, I would say, popularity was the online entertainment. So this online entertainment has revolutionized the world from long time back, since when the Netflix and Prime Videos of the world have taken us by the storm. Now a lot of people are interested to watch Netflix rather than watching some shows on the TVs or some movies on the TVs. For us, everything is available. Um, uh, where people like to watch those movies whenever they want and however they want. That's what Netflix and Prime Videos did for us. And today you are seeing a lot of movies which are being released on these OTT platforms. Very recently, I think a couple of movies were released on Prime Video. Uh, there was a movie which was released on Z5 app, if I'm not wrong. I was following this, and across the globe, Netflix is releasing a lot of new movies, Hollywood-based movies. So I say online entertainment is actually taking us by the storm, and maybe in future there would be no theaters altogether. It can be just a digital screening at the ease of our home. And if you want to do that, it's not as easy as it seems. It is not just storing a video. It is not like YouTube where you store a video on the server and you stream the video. There has to be a lot of security to it. There has to be licensing to it. There has to be accessibility, probably only to one person who wants to watch it and not to the other person who doesn't want to watch it. A lot of security features needs to be built in. If we want to do that, it is possible only if you have a strong technology backup. And a third interesting technology was digital and contactless payments. Even in India, even the government of India suggested we should move to digitalized payment system rather than using the notes and the notes and the coins, uh, because they have they have the probability of carrying the virus, whereas the digital payment will not. So now the problem with digital payment is again acceptability by multiple people. There are a lot of people who are, let's say, for example, the migrant workers. They don't have an account itself. They don't have a bank account itself. So forget about the digital payment. Now, how do we bring in those process and systems in place? How do we make this technology available to as simple human being as a migrant worker to as busy human to, or maybe to a CEO of an organization, right? How do we make this technology as simple and accessible? This can actually help us in the future. And talking about the supply chain now, supply chain 4.0, uh, there were only few organizations across the globe who kept their supply chain moving on because they were using blockchain as a technology, they were using artificial intelligence, and they were using Internet of Things. Let me give you an example of one organization who was based out of Bangalore. You know about Cipla, everybody knows about Cipla. They need to move their drugs from point A to point B. And there are certain drugs which are temperature sensitive and needs to be delivered in time. They gets manufactured only for a purpose and they don't keep in stock. Now they have built a system wherein they are using the sensors in the vehicle which tracks the temperature, which keeps the temperature at bay, and they have built in a system which can track uh, the temperature of that vehicle by sitting at a uh, Cipla control hub somewhere in Hoskote, and even if it is in Hong Kong, they know how the drug is being performed there. Is the temperature being maintained? Where exactly is that particular vehicle? And if in case there are any incidents with that vehicle, if there are any break-ins, if there is let's say uh, there is a breakdown of the vehicle, all of this is being monitored by the control tower of that supply chain, who is sitting in a remotest place of Karnataka, and that's in Hong Kong. That is the power of supply chain 4.0, which uses technology like GPS, technology like AI and blockchain. Uh, so there are many more things that supply chain can do for us, and a lot of organizations have invested a lot, invested their interest, invested their money in actually revolutionizing their supply chain. So I would urge you guys to do a little bit more research on it. If you guys have not done any of the projects so far, go ahead and do some projects on supply chain 4.0. I would say supply chain 4.0 has a lot of scope for us in the future. Uh, Apart from supply chain 4.0, something interesting happened was remote work. Now, what we are doing right now, what I'm doing right now is a remote work. I am, I was supposed to be present in front of you to give this talk, but today we are doing this remotely, and you are enjoying the comfort of your house. You're with your parents, maybe you're with your spouse, yeah, with your parents or your friends. You are at the comfort of your homes, and you're listening to me and you're talking to me. You're communicating with me. So this technology has to be upgraded further with a lot of multiple security features and a lot of accessibility features, so that remote work can become easier and accessible for many of us. Something other interesting was 3D printing technology. Now, just imagine you need to let's assume the situation in the future. Now, this a lot of companies have already vested their interest in 3D printing. To be honest, let's especially if you are driving a car. Let's say you are driving a bike. Something happened to your headlight. Now, what you do is ideally you go to the workshop, you place an order for the headlamps, and probably they will take a day or two. Nowadays, it's just one day because of better supply chain management from the company. So usually they would deliver it by one day, and your vehicle is out. You give it in the morning, and it is out in the evening. But the problem happens to those vehicles which are old, where they don't have the stock of those headlamps or any spare part. A 3D printer can print a particular part, maybe the headlamps or maybe your side stand or maybe your anything, any part of a particular bike or a car. It can print it instantaneously and offer it to the customer. Now today, 3D printing technology has revolutionized in pandemic situation where PPE kits, mask, they are being 3D printed effectively at a very faster rate than any other manufacturer can do. So 3D printing is revolutionizing and it will revolutionize the future. Apart from this, distance learning, as I told earlier, a lot of schools have started online classes, but many schools do not have access to it. Maybe the technology is costly or technology is confusing. So we as engineers can build some application from sustainable system which can help uh, those remote schools and remote colleges and probably people those who are below poverty line as well to have an access to the technology and who can learn. And something other interesting was also about robotics and drones. So many countries and many states use drones to monitor the movement of people and also to uh, monitor the basically the movement of traffic also within the city to an extent using those drones. And drone technology is one such technology which is believed to be uh, very crucial in the defense system as well as in the economic system of the future. Just to give you an understanding of it, USA has started the registrations of drones exclusively. So in USA, you cannot use a drone without being registered to it. Once if a drone is registered, once if a drone is deployed on the air, a central system in USA can actually track it and know the position of those drones. And in India, it is believed that robotics and drones are going to revolutionize their delivery system. Amazon is very strongly working towards delivering delivering on through the rooftop using the drone rather than just the robots. And the ninth interesting technology that we saw and was trending in during this pandemic was the telehealth. Companies like Practo, companies like M-Fine, they have started the online consultation with the doctors. You can pay some money, chat with those doctors, discuss your symptoms, and tell them that, and the doctors would diagnose using those systems, and they would give you the result uh, about what's wrong with you, basically. And yes, they would also prescribe the medicines online. So this telehealth is going to be another interesting industry on its own. A lot of people believe that doctors cannot consult remotely. The many doctors in Bangalore are doing that so far. At least I have consulted, but with one doctor online uh, when I was down with fever, and he suggested the medicines online, and everything worked very well. Uh, Everything worked like a charm, no problem at all. So telehealth needs to be brought in with much more robust systems, robust security features. Again, patient information is a secured information. The doctors cannot disclose this to any other or any other entity also. So probably we have to bring in a system exclusive for medical industry uh, with some technology where we can build in a lot of security features. And if you want all of these technologies to work, we need a stable internet connection. And internet connection is not, I don't mean that optic connection or your broadband connections and stuff. It has to be a wireless connection. 4G is good, nothing wrong about it. I am doing this call on my 4G network. I'm using my 4G dongle and I'm doing it. But is it sustainable? No, it is not. On a on a long run, this cannot work. We need a high speed wireless system. That's where 5G systems comes into the picture. So 5G is another which is being tested very much by multiple countries and multiple organizations. And in future, you would see a lot of 5G systems coming into picture. So this is about the trending technologies during this pandemic. Just a minute. Yeah. So going to the next slide, guys. Somebody is on unmute. Please keep yourself on mute. I can hear a lot of background noise. Wait a second. Somebody by the name Roshan. Please keep yourself on mute. Right. Coming back. Let's talk about. Yeah. You guys. You please coming back on unmute. Yeah. Please keep yourself on mute. Somebody named by name Swati. Right. So let's talk about another interesting topic for today. That is your fourth industrial revolution. Now, talking about your fourth industrial, what is this fourth industrial revolution? What is that to do with us? Right. You have seen industrial revolutions. We know about industrial revolution. Uh, uh, in other words, if I want to say, the base of economy for us was agriculture. We used to produce. We had a barter system. We used to sell our agriculture produce or exchange our agriculture produce. Then the industries came into picture. The first industrial revolution happened way back in 1784. Yeah, way back in 1784. You can see it on my screen here. Way back in 1784, where the first time the water and steam power system was used. That's where the steam rails were the steam engines were invented. Not steam rails per se, the steam engines were invented. And again, the time moved on, people moved on. About probably close to about 100 years later, we realized that this is not a sustainable thing. We need another industrial revolution, and that's where the second industrial revolution happened with the invention of electric power. And that's where it started the mass production, or probably a factory setup, I would say. That's where the concept of factory systems came into picture. And again, the third industrial revolution happened in 1969 with the invention of information technology and the electronics in the production. Automation production, all of this, internet came into existence. Electronic systems came into existence. That's where the third revolution happened. And the fourth industrial revolution is happening on the third industrial revolution. There is no a clear differentiation. It is happening as and when we speak. It was happening yesterday. It will keep happening tomorrow. There's no absolute date for it. This is where it builds on the third industrial system, where the digital revolution will happen, where we use where it will be a fusion of technologies. It will actually blur the line between the physical and digital and biological spheres. Now, to give you an understanding, very simple, today we have the nanobots, which can be injected into the bloodstream of a human being or any animal to collect the vital information about the working of the human body. We have come to that particular that particular era wherein there is no differentiation between a human being and a machine which is there in the human being. There are a lot of chips that are being invented, which can be used in the brain to monitor the brain activity also. Now, from the information age in the fourth industrial revolution, because of this digital revolution, we are moving to something called as a conceptual age. Now, what is this conceptual age? What is to do with the conceptual age? If I want to tell you, an agricultural age was more of agricultural produce. Industrial age was more of factory workers. Information is more of a information age is more of a knowledge worker. Now, this knowledge worker were basically of my generation, where I was hired by the company. I was being hired by the company for my knowledge on Java, for my knowledge on C++, probably, or C hash. Uh, because of my impeccable knowledge, they used to hire me. But today, if I talk about the 21st century, but especially for today, people do not hire because of knowledge. People hire for the ability of your creation. Are you a creator? Do you have the creativity in you? A lot of people ask me this question. I'm very good at Java. I'm amazing at Java. I can write anything in Java. You just tell me I can write anything in Java. The problem is there is nobody to tell you here. You know the problem. Are you in a capacity to give an effective solution to it? Do you know how to create a solution around it? Knowing Java is a very basic thing today. Just about 5 years back, engineering was a luxury. When I did engineering, I was one among those person in my entire probably street. I would say, yeah, in my street that I was the only one engineer. When people looked at me, I was like, hey, he's joining engineering college. Just 2 years after that, every kid in my street was an joined engineering college. Today, engineering college is nothing but equal to a degree college, a normal degree. People are saying engineering is nothing but a normal degree. Yeah, that is a fact today. A lot of engineers are being graduated. A lot of people are joining engineering colleges. Number of engineering colleges are being increased. Now, anybody who has graduated out of engineering college can write, knows Java, what is Java, what is Java 8.1. He knows what is C hash, what is algorithms, what is data structures. Well and good. But the question is, how different are you from them? Now, what am I talking to you directly is how would your future of your job would look like tomorrow when you are going to your interview. Can you prove that you are different than the other, and how different are you than the other? In 21st century, if you want to thrive yourself, it is not just knowing about the technology and knowing about how would you use the technology to solve the problems of today. Very interestingly, very good application of AI. One Chinese firm came out with a wearable technology. Basically, it's a mask which has the goggles, which has the respirator, and also a helmet, and as an infrared camera. Using that information, that particular mask, using that camera can detect the human body temperature remotely, where one thermal reader can do one at a time, where this helmet can scan about 20 odd individuals at a time, can get to know the information about what is their body temperature and what is the name of that individual if it is linked with the central citizen database of a particular country. In case of China, yes, it is there. uh, that is what they're using AI for. Using AI as a technology, they have built such a system. Now, the question is, are you in a capability to prove that you no nobody will ask you at the interview to build a system, but they would test your creativity by posing the questions. Are you creative enough to answer those kind of questions? So conceptual age is all about the creators and empathizers. If you want to really get a job in the future, have a technology backup. Along with that, have the creativity. So World Economic Forum uh, says that the top 10 skills which are required in 2020 are these top 10 skills. Your soft skills, your complex problem solving skills. No matter how complex the problem is, do you have the capacity to solve those complex problems? This is where your testing actually happens. When they give you a piece of code to of course you would go through your written test in your placements, right? When you go to a technical round, they'll ask you to write a piece of code, or probably they'll give you a piece of code and say, analyze this piece of code. What is the output of it? Uh, Usually, what they're trying to check is not your knowledge, is your problem solving ability. Are you able to solve any problem that is posed to you? And second, usually most of the interviews will have a case study. They'll give you a case and they'll ask you to come up with a solution to it. That's where they are checking your critical thinking. That's where they're checking your creativity. Anybody, most of the people would say, I will write a piece of code and probably this will be a solution, and they would not expect the same answer from you. They would expect something different. They would expect to come up with a sustainable solution, a sustainable answer to those questions. And very surprisingly, another skill which is interesting and important for you is people management. So people management is not that you are a boss and the other one are the employees. It's about how you can work with the people. how we can work with the manager, how we can work with your peers, and also how you can work with your subordinates, and also how you can work with the person who has no connection to you. This is one of a very critical skill as we move to the conceptual age or the post COVID-19 world, where remote work will become the new normal. Uh, People will just connect to you out of the blue from one remote department and say, hey, Darshan, this is what the problem is. Can you solve it for me? But and how, what is your ability to work with those sort of people? And yes, and coordinating with others, and very importantly is your emotional intelligence, especially in the post COVID-19 world, when all of when people are losing their jobs, when people have actually lost their jobs, when there are new people joining into the system, they would want to see how you're emotionally stable and balanced to handle the pressure. They would actually, during the interview process, they might put you into extreme pressure conditions and test how would you handle those pressure. And that's where emotional intelligence, or EI, or emotional quotient, comes into picture. And what is your judgment and decision making? A lot of problems that is being posed to you comes with some decisions to be made. What they're basically testing is not your decisions, they're basically testing your capability to make a decision and standing by the decision despite of knowing that you are wrong. And are you ready to stand by your situation, stand by your decision? It's not that proving what you're wrong is right, and I'm not saying that you should not prove that wrong is right. You should stand by your decision and give a reasoning that why did you take the decision, and what was your thought process doing that decision while taking that decision. And the eighth such soft skills that you need is your service orientation, keeping your customer in the developing an application, or when you're writing a piece of code, it is for a larger good. You just don't write a piece of code, give an output and let it go, right? This particular piece of code will be used in a different application altogether, and very similarly hundreds of people are writing the same sort of a code. Now eh, you should be in a position to keep everybody in center, not just about your benefit. It's not about how soon can you get an output. If you want to get an output so soon, you can go to Google, copy the code, and any organization can do that. You are being hired to keep the customer in the center. First, your important person to you is your customer. Your customer can be your manager also, actually the person who has given your work. And this is what being tested under service orientation. And negotiation, interestingly, negotiation, how good are you while negotiating with people? Negotiating is often confused as a sales skill. No, it is not. Negotiation is a skill, is a life skill. You negotiate with your parents, you negotiate with your friends, you negotiate with your girlfriend, you negotiate with your HR for your salary. You negotiate every day in and day out. Negotiation happens every day. Negotiation could be for your promotion. Negotiation could be for to get a job with your HR. You got to negotiate, right? Negotiate is a very strong interpersonal skills. So negotiation is one such skill, and very interestingly is cognitive flexibility. How flexible are you in your thoughts? Uh, Probably you have suggested something to the organization and it is proved to be wrong, and and how flexible are you to accept the truth and move on and moving on? So cognitive flexibility is another interesting skills. This is what is the top skills of 2020. And if you want to thrive and be successful in your conceptual age, you need to have the six skills. Now this six skills is being stated by Daniel Pink, who is an author of The Whole New Mind. It's a very interesting book. If you guys want to read it, read this book, The Whole New Mind, by Daniel Pink. He says design, story, symphony, empathy, play, and meaning. These are the conceptual eight skills. Um, so design is not about something to make it pretty. Design happens from a very elementary thing, like giving a solution to a problem. We design a solution. How do we design a solution? So uh, having a design thinking is an important skill for the conceptual age. And story, I told you negotiation, right? negotiation is usually done like an argument. If you want to avoid an argument, you have to have a strong story to it. Now, as an L&D consultant, I do a couple of interesting training programs for corporates. I called storytelling with data and storytelling for business. Now, storytelling is such an important skill where most of the corporates are taking it up today. My sessions, they are taking those my sessions. So storytelling is used effectively in sales. Storytelling is used effectively in by the board of directors, by the CXOs, by the employees while communicating. So storytelling becomes a very interesting and important skill for conceptual age. And along with that, symphony. Symphony is very simply talking about symphony is something to do with the music, right? A music looks good when all the notes are played well. Very similarly, when we all as an individual work together, we will achieve something which is really good. Symphony as a skill focuses on that. How good are you working well with the others? And empathy is nothing but the service orientation, understanding the other person to the core. And play is another skill. It's not just about being very serious and logical. How can you bring in the concept of game in anything that you do? Today, gaming dynamics is being used in learning development, learning management systems. At least I am doing on learning management system. I'm including gamification. So in learning, people use gamification. A lot of schools today, they have changed the way how they teach their kids. They no more go with the whiteboard or blackboard stuff. They incorporate games to those kids. They use games as the base to teach the kids. So play becomes another interesting meaning. So before you do something, what skill that you possess is to look for a meaning of it. So these are interesting or important skills for the conceptual age. So this is something which I've already spoken about. Let me give you some topics here. What are the technologies that I should be looking at? Most of you guys have the questions. What are these are soft skills which are okay, but what about the hard skills? What about the technology for the future? What should I focus on for the future? I would say there are about 10 technologies you should focus on. And one of those technologies, what the fourth industrial revolution says, is AI. Uh, the technology which I told you earlier, your robotics, your uh, artificial intelligence, your data science and your machine learning, your IoT, your Internet of Things, blockchain, and your mobile-based applications, 5G-based technologies. They all are the trending technologies in the future. So I would request you guys to be prepared on those technologies. Um, and there are multiple examples which we can see today, like countries like Taiwan, Singapore, South Korea. They use these technology like big data, artificial intelligence, and mobile tracking uh, to foresee the problem that they're about to come. These are the countries which are kind of shielded by this COVID-19 pandemic. They were least affected. South Korea brought the entire pandemic under control within the span of 25 days. There is a video by it on the YouTube. Please go and watch the video. And they've used IoT, AI, and blockchain to the technology, all these technology to its core. And they use those technologies also in the future to continue building on it. So I would say these are the technology that you need to keep in your mind: your big data, your artificial intelligence, and your mobile tracking, mobile-based applications. These are the technologies which will help you to get a job for yourself in the future. I'm so sorry. Again, the question is, how do I prepare myself for the future? How do I prepare myself for the interview? Uh, Again, as I told you, right? Uh, Interview preparation is not only based on what you have learned on your engineering, it is more on the common sense and the general knowledge that you have. How much do you know about the technologies of the future? How much do you know about big data? How much do you know about AI? How much do you know about data science? Please try to make a research around it. Only and only when you make a research around it, you will be able to uh, yeah, you'll be able to crack the job, you'll be able to get a job. Your engineering will give you a strong base, it'll give you a strong base to learn new technologies, but you should not make an end of it. Build on it, continue building it on the future. So apart from this, my suggestions to all of you as the people who are looking for job, it is that your technology is equally important like your soft skills. Your soft skills should be good. Along with that, your technology skills should also be good. Make sure that you know about the technologies of today, the technologies of the future, and be prepared on it. So before I end the sessions, I would want to address certain questions asked by you. Most of the question is about the same thing. What are the trending technologies? There's one interesting question which is asking, the person is asking is, what will be the effect on placement? Uh, See, the effect on placement, you cannot really predict it. Pandemic has created a lot of job losses. People have lost their jobs because the economy is down. So will there be a placement? uh, I'm not sure. It's purely dependent on the requirement. uh, TCS may really come back and say, hey, I need people, because TCS is an organization which is built on the freshers. They use freshers to uh, build their business, right? So yeah, there is a possibility that TCS may come in and say, hey, I might hire them. But on a large scale, there won't be a huge number of placements like what it used to happen earlier. There will be a very reduced intake, but this intake will be very scrutinized. People who are capable and who are skillful, only they can be recruited. When I say skillful, I'm talking about the technical skills, who knows the technologies of today and who knows the technologies of the future. And all those, remember those top 10 skills what I spoke to you about the World Economic Forum, those skills, with people with those skill set, for them it will be easy to get through the interview process. Another interesting question, wait a second, I'll tell you. So how the company, very interesting question by somebody, I need to mention the name. uh, One second. Yeah, Ganga Sagar, somebody's asked this question. Ganga Sagar from SCE. How companies are getting or generating revenues even if there is a lockdown, and how much percentage of it will be shared for the employees as salaries, and how much percentage of money will be shared to the employees for the work? Oh my God, too many questions. So basically, what he wants to ask is, are the companies is really generating the money? If a company is generating the money, are they ready to give out that as a salary? Yeah, there are very few organizations for us today who are actually generating a good income despite of having this pandemic situation. Uh, those are the companies which are digital technologies. If you look at it, very simple, very simple. A company like Big Basket in India, Big Basket, they are doing essential deliveries. Everybody thought Big Basket, the companies like Big Basket, Flipkart, and Amazon would go out of business because nobody would buy online. But due to the pandemic situation, they were the only one people who kept their business going when compared to the others, because they digitalized it. They are using the modern technologies like supply chain 4.0. They are a digital platform on which you can order your goods, right? So these are the people, these are the businesses who are shielded against the pandemic, and yes, they keep their business going. A lot of organizations, uh, like multinational organizations who can keep their business on a virtual platform. They still continue to make money. And how much percentage of it will be shared? So far, a lot of people whom I know in my friend circle, either they have lost jobs or they're still working. So there is no salary cut per se. Uh, so if there is a salary cut, it might be there in the future. But one thing for sure, a lot of people are not getting their annual hikes this time because of the economic slowdown. They're not getting their annual hikes, as in their appraisals are not happening. How do management find clients? So how do management find clients? This is an interesting question by you. Uh, Having digitalization doesn't mean that you don't find clients. You will find clients. Uh, a technology company like me, let's say I, Darshan, run a technology company. If you, let's say your college, Saptagiri College, wants some technology, some piece of technology wherein they can conduct an online class, they would obviously approach me whether I go and visit you physically or I am present virtually. I would still find clients. So finding the clients is a different ball game and a different thing altogether. You would definitely find clients. So somebody asked the question: are we going to get placed? Yeah, as long as you are good enough, as long as you are street smart, you would definitely get placed. How to select which course is important for the future and which is not? This is another question. I already gave you the list of 10 top 10 technologies, right? Uh, I would say do any of those. More than that, more than about the future, I'm saying what interests you. What is your interest? You can build a strong future only if you are passionate about it and only if you are interested about it. Let's say you don't like Java, and today in the webinar I'll tell you, don't Java has huge scope, go and do it. You will end up doing Java, but you don't have interest in working on it, and you end up after about 5-6 years from now, you will end up disliking Java and you start hating Java to its core, and you start hating your life to its core. I don't want you guys to do that. I would say please find out what you are interested about. I gave you the list of 10 technologies. Please find your interest in it. Right. There are some questions on the chat window also. I would answer those chat window questions. So before that, let me complete the questions asked on the registration page. Would the job requirement be reduced? Will most of the students get into higher studies? Interesting questions. Again, it's a matter of choice. If your financial condition is not supporting you for a higher education, what would you do? You would end up finding a job, right? Uh, so it is purely a personal choice, I would say. It's about, I want you guys to assess your situation. What situation are you in? Are you in a situation to get a job? Good, go get a job. If you want to get a job, be sure that you have to be sure that you are good in the modern technologies and you have those skill set which we discussed earlier. Somebody has a question. I need why and how it's useful for me in getting a good job. I'm not sure. I'm not understanding it. Are jobs available as usual or not? It's a big question. As usual, no, it is not. Topic of seminar, I'm not sure. Will placements happen in 2021 batch? Wrong person to ask this question. The right person is your training and placement officer. He's the one who brings in the companies to your college. He's the right person to answer. So far, uh, the market trend, it looks tougher, but as long as there is a requirement for the workforce, there is every possibility that you might get placed. There would be a placements. Will companies come? Yeah, I'm not sure how would it, or hope it will be worth. I don't understand it. What going to happen in upcoming hiring? I believe I've already answered this question. What will be the use of this? And now I've completed it, you will know what will be the use of it. Right. Somebody asked the question, will they call the person who have got the placements? Uh, Yeah, so it is purely dependent on the company and dependent on the nature of business. So a company like, uh, 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 let's say, a TCS or a company like Accenture, who are a pure play consulting organizations. What they basically do is they consult with the but with a different company. If let's say Philips is an organization, they need some technology solution. They approach Accenture. So Accenture creates some technology solution for it and gives it to Philips. Now, very similarly, if there is a requirement of the technology from Philips, the Accenture would still continue developing it. And as long as these consulting organizations keep getting the projects from the company, there will be jobs available. And yes, you will be required to do that job. So organizations will not give you offer letters just like that. There would be some logic behind that. At least after 2008 financial crisis, people have stopped distributing the offer letter. Earlier, what used to happen when we were doing engineering, or at least when we passed out engineering, we were given offer letters, and we have seen many instances that many people are kept on bench for 1 year. At least my sister, when she got placed for TCS, she never had any project for 1 long year. 1 year she was on bench, and she were getting salary, complete salary as promised. And there was no appraisal, of course, but the salary was available. But today it might not happen. From tomorrow it might not happen. Accenture or TCS may hire people as per the requirement. To the dot, they will hire. They won't hire in surplus, keep people on bench. So there is a possibility, once you have got placed, once you have got a placement, there is a possibility that you will get an offer letter, you will get an appointment letter. There is a possibility. Somebody asked me, Kiran, sir, doing MBA after engineering is good or what? Again, what is your interest in? Do you want to get into a management end of technology? Do an MBA. Or do you want to be on the other end of technology where you develop the solutions using the technology? So be as an engineer. It is your choice. It's purely your choice. But if you're asking, is it good to do higher studies? Logically speaking, this time looks good to do higher studies. And very similarly, hundreds of people would also thought of that. But again, if you are doing higher studies, select one particular subject which will be a technology for tomorrow. Don't, a lot of people would say, I'll do something interesting on Java. Here, Java is there, Java will be there, Java will continue to be there, and there are many people who are working on it. Do something different for the future, right? Select that one particular technology and do your masters on it. And doing masters, will I get a better placement? You never know what is there, what is going to happen in the next 2 years. Will there be a coronavirus 19 or 20 in the future? You don't know that. Future is unpredictable, right? So for now, if you look at now, what I would say is upskilling is a better option. Upskill yourself, have a taste of the advanced technologies, and then look for a job. Somebody asked, is English important for giving an interview? And it's an absolute necessary. It's an 100% absolute necessary. Please work on your language skills. Somebody questioned, Sakiba Saha, what will be the effect of what effect will startups have during this whole pandemic? A lot of effect on startup. At least I run a technology startup of my own. It is suffering a lot. I don't have funds ready with me to spend on it. It's again a game of funds. If you have investment with you, you will get through this situation easily. If you do not have funds, it is tough. So startups, the bigger problem is the funds. Right. So somebody, management decision is making required, hence doing MBA is fine, right? Uh, no, I did not say management decision making. I said decision making, right? Decision making is an important skill. Either you are a management or an employee, or even now as a student, even now, right now, you have a decision to make for your life. This decision can make or break your life. The decision of going and looking for a job, or decision of doing a higher study. This is a very tough decision for you. Now, what you decide, there is nothing called as right or wrong here. Both are right and both are wrong. Now, once after you decide, are you ready to stand by that decision? That's what decision making is all about. uh, Kiran is asking the same question again and again. I've already answered that. technology is both boon and bane. If technology increases, employees will become jobless. No, as automation increases, uh, people will become jobless. But nothing to worry. If you have a technology, to manage technology, you need people. That's what I'm talking about, right? The old age skills, or it's just done for now. It's redundant for now. Those technologies are redundant. Today, nobody talks about C, C++, or C hash. Why do you know that? Why do you do that? Today, nobody talks about Excel. Microsoft Excel was a wonderful skill. People were earning 10 lakhs per year based on just by learning Excel. Today, Excel has become a redundant skill because of data science. People, at least I, 1 2 years back, I was training on Microsoft Excel, uh, and my training jobs are being taken away by the likes of your Tableau and your Power BI. So it is, again, if you are having a Power BI and Tableau, you still need people to work on Tableau. But the only difference is I don't know Tableau, but the other person does. I did not upskill, but the other person did. So upskilling yourself is important. No matter what technology would come in, people will not lose their jobs. People who do not upskill will lose their jobs. You need to constantly be upskilling yourself. Learning is a continuous process. You need to keep learning as long as you're alive. Only that's how the jobs would be with you. Please tell the pros and cons. I'm not sure what is this. How to create an opportunity as a student. Very good question. How to create an opportunity as a student. Uh, Very simple. Today, most of you as students, would do a final year project, and you would do something what our seniors have done. At least in my batch, when I did my final year project, most of my batchmates took a project which was done by the senior and they presented it. I was the only one person in my entire batch. I did the project on UAVs and on drones. Back then, drones was something which was people never heard of. I did a project on drones, and especially on the unmanned aerial vehicles, and that's too unautomated aerial vehicles. And my project was a huge hit. My project was an incomplete project, but still, just because I did that project and I was interested to pursue my higher studies, I did not opt for a job. Because of my project, both of my group mates, they got an internship in a company, and a robotic based company out of Bangalore. That is the power of your final year project. So most of these people think final year project is just part of academic and let us complete it. Don't do that. Find something interesting for you. That is one opportunity to showcase your skills, and please do that. Please utilize that opportunity. You don't have to create opportunity. You already have an opportunity. I would want to say another opportunity, number two. Today, Google Play Store is open source platform. Anybody can create applications and host the applications. How many of you are capable to create an Android application? If your answer is no, don't worry. 90% of the people don't have the ability, but only those 10% have it. And that is where those 10% lies in IITs and NITs. And if you see people from IIT and NIT, they don't really look for a job. They create their own startups right after their engineering, because they know how to capitalize on these open source opportunities available. Are you one among them? You don't. You have an answer for it. So, Sachin, I would say again, how to create an opportunity as a student lies wholly with you. There are a lot of options available around you. As simple as an apartment society that you live should have a security application. Does your apartment has a security application? If they don't have, you can build one. Today you can do it for free. If that scales up in future, you can sell it cost. And that's how commonfloor.com as an organization was built in Bangalore, and I was an employee of it. When commonfloor was started with 3 employees, all IIT graduates, they started with 3 friends in Bangalore. Today they sold commonfloor to quicker.com for about $30 million. So much money they made. So opportunities are right in front of you. Will machine learning and AI bloom in future? I don't know what is bloom. Yeah, They are the technologies of the future. Yes. Do we having more company in moving 2 to 3 years for us, or we having the same amount of companies and engineers will suffer? I'm not sure how do I answer this question, or I didn't understand this question. Do we having more company in moving 2 to 3 years for us, or we having the same amount of companies and engineers will suffer? Sahil Aryan, I would want you to rephrase this question. I'm not understanding the question. Swati, which language is more trending among Java and Python? Again, I am telling you this. Python and Java, they both are languages. They are used on a huge application. Now, artificial intelligence uses Python. Python is a simpler language to design something on artificial intelligence. Is Java being used? Yes, Java is also being used. Is Python being used? Yes, Python is also being used. If you want to create a website framework, you need JavaScript, you need Java. Python cannot do it. So both have the importance on its own. The question is, you got to decide where you want to see yourself from now. Swati, I hope I've answered your question. Um, do we have more companies which will invest in India? Sahil again asked a question. Do we have more companies which will invest in India in the IT sector due to this coronavirus? Uh, See, the idea of investing in India after this startup revolution was started, the whole idea of investing in India moved to investing in startups. Today, a startup has a technology solution to many things, right? People would rather invest in a company than building an own organization, right? So I would say still yes, they would invest in India. The investment in India will keep continuing. Will keep continuing. But again, the question is how different and how unique are you when compared to the others? Especially when some compared to South Koreans and Israelis, how unique are we? What is the Arhat Jain asked me this question? What is the correct way to learn new technologies by doing project on the technology? Yeah, it depends on individual. I learned technology purely based on I learned technology purely based on reading stuff. For me, technology is just knowledge. I read stuff and I learn. If you want to excel in the technology, both are important. Read it, work on it, do a project around it. If you look at the structure of learning any language today, at least uh, like any organizations, for example, Akron Technologies itself, I'm sure they would also teach you in classrooms, and they will also give you a project. So the learning is blend. It should always be blended. It cannot be just by reading things. Uh, can I get a job by concentrating completely on any programming language? No, definitely no. You will never get a job just by learning programming language. Don't do that mistake. Many people did that mistake. Many of my friends did that mistake. Please focus on technology. Technology will get you a job, not a programming language. A programming language is a part of a technology. Please understand this. Why in foreign countries pay more package than India? Achha, coming back to the previous question, concentrating completely on programming language, I don't want you to not learn programming language also. Please learn programming language. It is important. Just by learning programming language is not sufficient for you. You need to know the entire technology per se. Coming back to the other question by Sagar, why in foreign countries pay more package than in India? Yeah, this is a very a question which needs to be discussed. Not really relevant to this particular topic. Probably, Sagar, we can catch up personally. Maybe you can give me a call. I'll give you my coordinates. We can discuss in person, but I don't want to answer this question right now. Preeta S. Joyce asked the question. So what, according to you, is the best skills to learn? Please specify the courses or subject we should have knowledge on. Preeta, this is what I've been repeating. It is not about me. I am not the right person to suggest. It is about you. You got to decide what you want to do. Let's say you are very much interested in artificial intelligence, and I would say IoT. What do? You end up learning artificial intelligence. But unfortunately, throughout the process of learning artificial intelligence, throughout the process of learning IoT, you would realize that, yeah, IoT, I shouldn't have done it. I should have done artificial intelligence. So I don't want you guys to have this conflict of thought. As long as you are good in those 10 technologies, as I told you, your your IoT, your blockchain, data, your machine learning, your AI, your cyber security, all these technologies are good to go. Select any of these technologies, and please select those technologies which you're passionate on. Just don't select because some third person told you to do so. Now, Dheeraj has asked a question. I think this is the last question I'm going to answer, and afterwards, it will be taken over by the Acron Technologies for the validation of this program. Now, Dheeraj asked this question: how should one start learning how to code? All the companies take technical round, and many are not able to clear that. What can I change now to outstay during the placement? Okay, just I am answering this question because it is about the placements. Uh, Dheeraj, the thing is, if you really want to code yourself better, people think it's a project. It is about your creativity. How creative are you in developing a solution to a problem? All these codes or piece of code which you're asked to analyze or which you're asked to write would have a logic and also a solution. How creative are you in creating that solution? Now, creativity is a skill that you cannot just teach somebody just like that. You have creativity is a learning process. You should keep learning it. And how do you keep learning it is by doing multiple things. Creativity, you know, for you, just to give you a suggestion, I would suggest go and look for different, challenges. There are multiple online challenges being posted today. There are hackathons which are being conducted by many companies and many third-party vendors also. Do go and participate in hackathons. Hackathons is a very good platform which can help you to explore your skill and get to know where you are bad at also. Hackathon is one such good place, I would say. Sorry, guys, there are multiple questions coming in. Chandan, Archita, they're all asking so many questions. Okay, one last question. Will the impact on economic situation due to coronavirus reduce in 2 to 3 years, or it takes more time than that? This is, see, as I told you earlier, coronavirus pandemic is unprecedented. We have never witnessed like this earlier. We had seen SARS and MERS in 2008 and 2013, but it was restricted to one country only, like South Korea and China. Uh, but this is a global pandemic, which happened in 1918 due to Spanish flu, and earlier to that in 1718 due to Black Death. And no documents are there to refer us and tell us how long did it take to come out of it. So we don't have any precedent to it. It is very tough to say that. There are many companies who can be very much resilient. Many economies in the world which can be resilient to this kind of pandemic. For example, Japan was resistant to it. Japan started its operation very faster. South Korea was able to control the pandemic in 28 days. But in India, we are still struggling to do it. Many Asian countries don't have an idea how to control it. And China, within matter of days, they controlled the whole pandemic and they're back on their feet. So it is situational. So how to cope up workload in companies? Don't worry till you get job. So once when you get job, you worry about the workload. Uh, so for now, that's it from my end, guys. So I would want to hand over to Acron Technologies. I think who's on the other side? Who would be speaking now?
Yes, yeah, Chandana here, Darshan. I'll be taking care
Yeah,
of it. Okay, I think
yeah,
everyone,
sure.
hello.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, yeah. So I think all your questions has been answered by our speaker, and thank you so much, Darshan, for giving such a wonderful information. Hope all the
Yeah. So
participants will make use
last one
of
thing.
it.
These are my coordinates where I've shared
Yeah,
my name, my mobile number, and my contact details. If anybody wants to get in touch.
Yeah, please, all the participants can make note of it. And if you have any more questions or queries,
Thank you so
please do
much.
contact
Thank you.
him. Yeah. Thank you so much, Darshan. And so, for all the participants, so those who have participated, the
You're
e-certificates will
welcome.
be
Thank you.
provided, will be sent to your registered mail IDs. Please do check. And we'll be sending a feedback form to all the registered mail IDs. Please do give your valuable feedback, which is very much important to us. Okay. And we, Accenton Technologies, we are open for the internships and the projects. So if anyone are interested, can contact us for more information. Okay, so I thank all the participants for making this session successful. Thank you. Thank you so much. So we'll wind up the session now. For any queries, please do contact us.